What's up, everybody? We're going to be getting going here in just a second. BitLab. Bitcoin is looking like it is absolutely starting to push up. Is it a trap? Is this just a choppy trick trying to take your money? We got GME, Roaring Kitties back in action. Is that sparking the markets? We got a lot of stuff to go over. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. We're about to get it.
Nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. SEC and its policies rely on whatever Gary thinks. Bitcoin's a flight to quality. I heard that from Larry Fink. Every hour losing purchasing power on foolish out there. It's not our fault. Blame the coal. It's the political cowards when it comes to gas. Our purchasing power just got cut in half. I sit back and laugh, open my bag, fill it with stacks and sats. Bitcoin, pumping, altcoins, pumping. I've been prepared for this. Can't tell me nothing.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality. We're hearing from clients around the world.
Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been prepared for this.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as
Bitcoin, pump, altcoin, pump.
we're hearing from clients around the world.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a
Can't
flight
nobody
to
tell me
quality.
nothing. Bitcoin, pump.
We're hearing from clients around the world.
Guys, we got to talk about these charts. We got to talk about what's going on in this market. If you're ready to dive in with this, throw a one in chat, drop an emoji, drop something in there, especially if you're a BitLab member. Drop those lab coats. Let's get it. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. It is Monday, another beautiful day. I don't know if you can see it, but the sun is shining right outside the window. I changed where I'm doing it here at, I'm actually at my cousin's house here in Las Vegas, and his room is just a little dark. I wanted to get a lighter background because you know what? And I actually prepared this last night. I moved the whole studio in here, and what do we got? We got a brighter light, and we also see that green on these charts right now, and it is feeling good to see Bitcoin starting to move up. But we got to pay attention to this level that it's at. It's kind of hitting a key level. We got some really key metrics we're going to be looking at today. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Alexandra G back in the fold. We got Dr. Crimson's girlfriend, Sawtooth Hiker, Ethan Smith. What's up, my friend? How's everything? Theo Rodriguez, I see you. Matthew Newhouse. We got to talk about this. So the question is, are we going to go to 65,000 or are we going to drop back down to 55 or maybe even below? Let me know in the chat right now what you're thinking. If you're watching later, drop down below what you're thinking just on your initial feel. Do you think this is a moment when we're actually getting Bitcoin pushing higher and breaking those levels? We got some things we're going to be looking at. We have a bunch of altcoins we're going to be looking at too. I basically drew the altcoins that we're going to be looking at from the BitLab Discord here. I asked everybody, let them know, you know, we're going live here in a few minutes. You guys let me know what you want to look at, and we will be doing some TA on these coins here as well as some other ones as well. So don't fret if you don't see your coin there. But looking at what's going on in the market, let's go ahead and refresh this page. We can see, by the way, let me know because I did reset up the entire studio out here. Throw a 6 in chat if audio, visual, and everything is looking good, sounding good, feeling good. But we see Bitcoin, look at this, back over 63. Ethereum's pushing up somewhere right here around 29, 62. Renegade Designers, we will definitely do Matic because, you know, it's one of those coins that's just one of those absolute blue chips, you know, when you are building an altcoin portfolio. I think it'd be silly not to have a Polygon or Matic in your portfolios. But we also see BNB hovering still around 600. Everything's kind of, we can tell by these graphs. We've had this huge move down, Bart Simpson pattern back down, and we're kind of just at really just a range equilibrium when you're looking just on the last 7 days on all of these projects in the top 16 here. Now, what are we talking about today? We're talking about some things, both bullish and bearish, but mostly bullish because there are things I think are starting to stack into our favor. So when we come over here and we look at what's going on with the price, just looking at this chart from Trader Tardigrade, we can see this rising level of support that this has come into contact with now 3 times. Actually, if you really count the candles, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The markets have just been, the bears have been trying to test the bulls' resolve, and every time the bulls are finding this level as this fair price level in terms of where the bulls are coming back in to buy. And when we look at this in context with the other signals like this stochastic, we can see that this has obviously been very choppy here, but this is setting up in that zone where we tend to get these movements to the upside. Now, this is obviously looking at it. This is a 3-day chart, so you're kind of looking at a mid time frame here. It doesn't mean this has to go up immediately. We may even have a few more days of chop. Remember last week, I mentioned a specific date. And of course, it's just complete, pure speculation. But I mentioned a specific date that I think could be another catalyst for having that further pressure to the upside. And that is around May 22nd, May 23rd. Now, what's going to happen between now and then? I would not mind by any means being wrong, because again, everything you do in TA is pure speculation. But looking at what's going on in the charts, looking at a lot of, for instance, this week we have so many different Fed speakers coming on, which is obviously going to affect the market in some capacity. But we also, as I pointed out last week, we saw that M2 money supply is starting to tick back up. We also see the Chinese liquidity starting to tick back up. And if we have more liquidity, if we have more global liquidity coming into these markets, liquidity equals risk on. So this is something, as this month is maturing, it's kind of a bit confusing for people that have been in this game for a long time, because May tends to be a month where it's that whole phrase, sell in May, walk away. And so is this time going to be a little bit different, or will we just get maybe a slow burn, maybe no more drops, but a slow burn to the upside? And then, you know, at the end of the summer, sometime late August, early September, when all those professional traders, all the Wall Street, all those people come back to their desks from their summer vacations and really kick it up into high gear. Who knows? All we can do is prepare. All we can do is set ourselves up for success through building a strategy and sticking to the strategy along the way. But we're seeing on this chart, like I showed you, this doesn't feel so bad at all when you notice that price action only just came back to a known trend line. We've been talking about this as well. If we zoom out on this chart, this is, let's turn off the indicators here. We can see this rising level of resistance that was flipped to support back here about February. This is when price was in February, was all, you know, $47,000. And we've made it all the way up here to $74,000. We're having a little bit of a pullback right to this line. Now, this chart obviously is very different from this type of structure. It's 2 different trend lines, but on this trend line, price came right back to it. On my trend lines here, on these rising channels, came right back to it. And now we're sitting here beautifully in a situation that might be setting up for an opportunity for, you know, quite a bit more price action to the upside. We're going to get into more TA here in a little bit, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a you know, taste of what we're seeing in the market. We got to go through a couple stories, a couple posts, and we're going to get back over here to the TA. Shout out to Gerardo Sosa. How you doing, my friend? Zachary Martin, how you doing? Sufficient enough. Good morning to you. I hope your morning is more than sufficient. But let's talk about what's going on here. Let's go ahead and go through some of these charts. Well, we can see right here, the bullish dominoes, and I keep posting these images, these retweets and quote tweets on my page, showing dominoes falling, because that's what's happening. I didn't do it on this one, but essentially what we're seeing here is U.S. State Representative asked whether New Hampshire should allocate Bitcoin to on its strategic reserves. This is going to be one of the #1 talking points with not only corporate treasuries, but also state treasuries, also just broader government treasuries, as this, you know, global economic crisis that we've been building into for the last 50 years, specifically since the world, you know, really went on the US dollar as a reserve, but then the dollar went off the gold standard. We have been basically kicking not only the can down the road, we've been kicking the potential future of positive possibility further and further away from actually being able to be maintained over time through the mismanagement of all of our funds. So Bitcoin and the entire ways in which that protocol is designed, this shows you right here. It's starting to be on the right type of stages. It's starting to be in the right conversations. We're seeing, in fact, I don't know if I retweeted it. Let me come right here. This right here from Andrew, AP_Abacus says, update, sources saying that Wells Fargo moving to proliferate Bitcoin ETFs across their entire wealth management platform by the end of the month. Things are moving quickly. People are starting to get educated. All these initiatives from BlackRock and Fidelity and Coinbase and Kraken and Crypto.com and just pushing more and more awareness out doesn't just go out to retail. That also affects people that are in those board decision makers on these massive companies, in addition to the fact that our monetary policy is a failure. And so Bitcoin is not only being on the talking points for state treasuries, but also the entire wealth management platform by the end of the month, likely here with Wells Fargo. This is incredible. This type of news, you can't even understand how bullish this is for what's coming up. So when we see price action has been pulling back from this point here all the way down to where we're at right now. Let's see, it's a shift bar, about 24% drop into a known zone that we've had marked out on the chart. Shout out if any of you, throw a one in chat if you've done any dip buying in the last 60 days, because this has been about 64 days or something like that, depending on where you measure it from. But it's been about 60 days, 60 plus or minus. Have you been buying the dips? Did you buy a little too early and then it dipped further and it frustrated you? That happens to everybody. But if we know where it's going and we see all these bullish things that we just keep stacking and stacking and stacking, still in a bullish structure. We see Wells Fargo, the New Hampshire asking, should they put Bitcoin on their state treasury? We see Wells Fargo moving their to put Bitcoin in their entire wealth management platform by the end of the month. And then, things are more bullish than we can even assume. And then I do want to shout out, by the way, we had a great interview we released on Saturday. If you have not watched it, head over to the BitLab Academy page right here. You can go to, if you just go to home, you scroll down, you can go to videos. This video right here, Bull Market Guide 2024, it's actually 2024, 2025, but is a great conversation with Credible Crypto, talking about everything going on right now, from what's happening with Bitcoin, what's happening with Ethereum, when that alt season is going to come, what signal you need to be watching for, and what, a lot of different considerations. In fact, some of his thoughts on even how he does basic setups on charts for TA. So make sure you go ahead and watch this video, the Crypto Bull Market Guide 2024. It's right here on the BitLab Academy page. Now, coming back over to his chart, he actually also went through this on the stream, but let's talk about this. This is something that is very likely in terms of what's going on with where the price action is at. I want you to notice we also have a massive inverted head and shoulders. This is a potential reversal pattern. Now, when you're looking at this suggests on his chart that we could have a bit of a washout, a move to the upside and then a washout down, spring launch to the upside. That may or may not happen. But the point is, you map out possibilities and you trade managing your risk, knowing that it might not just go up from here. You might get a washout down. And if it does, because we have this massive bullish structure, not only that, we are in a large bullish trend, then we can utilize understanding that this might go up after a washout to the downside. You can set up your trade orders here. And if it doesn't do that, then you just have limit orders, you exit later, and this continues moving up. But this is a resistance area that we're really looking at, is not only this $65,000 level, which basically comes straight across right in here. If we look at this on the charts, that level, let's actually come to this chart right here. That level is this level we've had mapped out on here all the way since back over here. And this level is basically the $65,000 level. And look at this, you can see beautifully this reversal pattern as a price action has been in a downtrend on the short term, meaning in the smaller time frames. For our chart, it's basically from here, really. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And now we have a higher low, right? Not only do we have a higher low, then we also have this broader pattern with a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder that is formed right here. So if that's the case, what would be the potential on this move? The potential on this move, we're gonna use a green line today. Look at that. The potential on this move, can you believe this? Takes us directly back on the breakout target from this inverted head and shoulders. The target out of this would be up here at this previous range high that we just broke down from. So we are setting up in such a beautiful way, regardless of if it breaks out today or tomorrow, maybe May 22nd, like I had speculated. It doesn't matter. The point is where we're going, there's going to be chop along the way. And if this gets one more rejection, comes down here and tests the short-term holder cost basis again, even if we wash out and it takes another month or all the way through the summer and we break down here and then we start, it doesn't matter to me. This just means if this comes down here, we have more opportunity to buy in these lower levels. But as it stands, if we're looking at it just on the merits of the chart that we're looking at right here, the merits of this chart suggest that, hey, we have a higher low. We bounced off a key. We actually dipped below a key level, this short-term holder cost basis right here, which has been moving up. This has been moving up along the way as coins trade hands, this shorter term held coins. But this is a key metric. It's a beautiful thing that the price action has bounced in this region and coming up right on the neckline of this zone. But there's more bullish stuff we got to look at. There's more charts we're going to look at. So let's get into those. We'll get back into the TA here in just a moment. We also cannot not mention Roaring Kitty. I'm sure every one of you, throw a 1 in chat if you are familiar with that whole GameStop saga. About, I guess, I don't even remember what it was, about 7 years ago or so, when GameStop just absolutely exploded and there's, you know, essentially a grassroots movement started by basically one guy that then absolutely just overtook the populace of people trading, even people that have never traded before. And it was right on the advent of when Robinhood was, released and really started being used actively. But retail against hedge funds created a massive, massive, massive short squeeze, and sent the price high as hell. This person, Roaring Kitty was his screen name. He turned, I think it was 53 or 57,000, somewhere in the 50s of thousands of dollars, $55,000, is called 55, into $48 million, all from this grassroots-led thing. So the reason why this is important is because he's been offline for a couple years. I think it's about 3 years or 2 or 3 years. And he just posted just a meme of somebody that was laying back, and the meme was them sitting up in the chair, almost like he's getting back to it. The reason why I think this is important, it's not because I care about GameStop, not because I think he's going to pump the market. No, that's not what's important here. What's important here right now, thinking about what's happened with GameStop, thinking about what power Roaring Kitty had in order to unite people against the major banking system, against hedge funds trying to short the market. That's what this crypto market's about. That's what Bitcoin is about. It is an answer to the failures of monetary policy. It's an answer to the failure of our governments. It's an answer to you having authority over the money that you can make. And you watching this stream, hitting that like button right now and subscribing, we can also unite all the different crypto YouTubers as well. People coming together to basically speak truth to the system through the truth that Bitcoin is. So Roaring Kitty was a great signal as to what is possible when we come together as a group of people. And so that's what's exciting about this right now. So if you're not excited about what's happening in this market, regardless of what's happening with Roaring Kitty, then I beg you just to look at some of these macro charts, dive into some of this data about what's going on with Bitcoin, what's going on, the failures, what's going on with the dollar. In fact, the CPI, we'll get another print this week. And wouldn't you know it, they removed coffee from the CPI read. Well, doesn't seem like you and I will know that. Some of the other people watching crypto YouTube, some of the people watching trading shows on YouTube, 99% of the people out there won't even know what's going on. Why is that important? Because yet again, they're taking another thing out of that equation that's giving them the signal about where inflation is. So they can tell you that inflation is 3% when you go to the store now and you get coffee, and coffee is 78%. It rose 78%. So why are they taking out things like housing and, you know, all the important energy? Why are they taking out all the important things that you know, we all use on a daily basis? Because they don't support the numbers that they want to push out. Bitcoin, you can't do that. Bitcoin's audited every 10 minutes, which is essentially what happens every time a block is mined. Remember blockchain? There's roughly 10-minute blocks, and these miners, they compete. Remember, the miners get these rewards. That's why we just had this halving. Their rewards just got cut in half. That's this inflation thing that's broken in the US. That's this inflation thing that's broken all over the world. It's because money printers never stop going. Well, Bitcoin, everybody understands that this new, these new Bitcoin that are created has a cap at 21 million, and that new Bitcoin that is created gets cut in half every 4 years, about 210,000 blocks. So all these things are tying together. And it's funny to me that, like with Roaring Kitties, everybody looks at this and they think it has something to do with GME, GameStop. This Roaring Kitty was a signal about people coming together against institutions that are just completely just manipulating you with the way they can throw around money and mismanage money. So this is why this is all important. We went off on a little tangent there, but we're going to get back into this. We got some charts we're going to be looking at as well. So I got to ask everybody right now, look down below the video. If it doesn't say liked, hit that like button. If it doesn't say subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. We've been growing like a rocket ship the last 2 months. And I couldn't be more thankful for every one of you community members. I appreciate you all. And make sure you turn on those notifications because we got more content coming out. Now, looking at this next story, this is big. It seems like a non-thing. Seems like, all these, the Hong Kong spot ETFs just launched for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And, you know, this just, we just saw this conference. This basically over 2,000 investors from mainland China attended the Bitcoin Asia conference in Hong Kong. Chinese have a very difficult time doing anything with their money or their investments outside of the Chinese Communist Party, outside of their borders. Bitcoin, if this is an opportunity, if they do have the opportunity to buy something like a Bitcoin ETF in Hong Kong, or even maybe if there's something specifically in China that is launched, that would be such a massive capital flow for Bitcoin. So we're gonna keep our eyes on this. This is bullish. This is all things are all roads are being paved towards you changing your life in ways you can't even imagine. Now, we also have other major things getting updated. Chainlink. We talk about Chainlink all the time. Chainlink is probably one of the most integrated crypto that are out there. And in fact, they also just had their CCIP, not CCP, but their CCIP, cross-chain interoperability protocol, just went live a couple weeks ago. And we're seeing them further integrate here. This week, there were 12 integrations of 6 Chainlink services across 6 different chains: Arbitrum, AVAX, Base, BNB Chain, Ethereum, and Ox Polygon. So we got a lot of things going on here. I mean, Ox, just so you all know, OX, when you're looking at addresses, like wallet addresses, if it has an OX as the first 2 digits, that means it is an ERC20 native wallet address, whether it's Ethereum, Polygon, etc. That's why they have OX there, because it is an ERC20 chain. Now, if I seem a little tired, it's because it is 8:53 in the morning here because I'm streaming from Vegas. I've been waking up at 5 a.m. getting my exercise on. I told you guys I'm in a health challenge with about 14 people, 6 months. We all have to lose 25% of our body fat. And there's some other strength metrics that we're trying to work up to too, but I'm doing it. I hope you all are too. Make sure you're giving me a follow here at Kelly Kellam, KELLYKELLAM. And of course, give BitLab Academy a follow right here at Academy BitLab. And what else? Oh, I do want to shout out. We will be drawing this, I believe, on Wednesday. So head over to the BitLab Academy page. I'll share this in the live chat. I'm just going to type retweet to win. chance to win. If you retweet this tweet, I just put in the live chat. I'll actually pin it to the top. You're going to be entered for an opportunity to win USDT. Only 14 people have retweeted it, so you got a pretty high probability. So everybody get in on that, retweet, share some love. This is one of our channel partners now. I did an excellent interview with them this weekend that'll be coming out, I think maybe this next Saturday, talking more specifically. It wasn't just about Galactix, but it was about Web3, the development, the gaming industry, some of the sticking points of crypto, and you know how things are evolving. Really great interview, and of course we also dive into what it is they're doing, because this is you're going to be so excited about what it is they're doing, because it's not just gaming, it's not just casino, it's so many different things pulled together. It's really is an absolutely kick-ass project. And if you go down below on this video, I'll actually share it in the live stream. By the way, I do want to shout out everybody. You should be using a VPN all the time when you are doing anything within crypto, so you can make sure that you don't show your actions to others, so you don't get hacked. It's a very good way to help prevent those types of things. Head over to this link and you can sign up there, especially if you're using a VPN, regardless of where you're at. Go sign up right there. Pre-registration. There is a $25,000 referral competition. I'm not a part of that. That's all you guys can participate in that. But get involved there. Go. You'd be helping the channel also if you just go pre-register, get set up. They are launching June 3rd. Again, that interview is going to be coming out this weekend. You can check out all the stuff there. We're going to be sharing a lot more about this soon. Now, I want to just update you, everybody, on the portfolio that I started in February. And remember, I'll tell you right now, I've been itching so bad to make all these different moves. And I remember I told you all, I try to be a man of my word. I really do. And I, for the most part, absolutely am. This portfolio, what's the word I'm looking for? My intention with this portfolio was to show that you could build a portfolio and not, like, I trade for sure, but I wanted to build a portfolio that shows that you can find a spot in a market cycle, identify the things you predominantly want to hold through that, basically the majority of a bull run, hopefully over 12 months. So I can also limit my tax liability, because once you hold it past 12 months, then it's capital gains rather than income. So you reduce your tax burden dramatically. Now, I've made some moves here and there that I thought were very necessary, but for the most part, these are things I just, a lot of them I stacked into on February 7th, just one after the other, not even looking at the small time frame chart. I was looking at a macro total 3 altcoin chart, seeing that it was looking like it was getting ready for that next major altcoin move sometime in the near future. So I've just stacked in and I've been DCAing into this, and I'm up on some and I'm down on some. Look, up 5,000 here, down 27 here, down 2,000, down 3, but then up 2,800, up 1,200, up 1,600, down 1,500, up 1,200, up 8,000. So it's kind of, the market is kind of, moved around a bit, and that's okay. When you have a strategy, sometimes you ride that sucker through the red. And if it's in the red, some of these, like this one, I've DCA'd into while it was in the red. Polkadot got into recently, down a little bit. I'm not worried about it, because I'm looking at the macro signal about the macro charts about what is happening in this market. Total 3, let's look at it. Okay. So this is what we're looking at right here. This is a previous, actually, let's go weekly. This is a previous all-time high here for the total market cap for all altcoins. Okay. Remember, Bitcoin's already hit its previous all-time high. So this is lagging behind quite a bit. Let's actually delete some of this stuff. I don't even know why it's on there. So from where we're at right now, just to get to the previous all-time high, which will happen, and these things tend to lag after Bitcoin, this is the total market cap, remember, not a specific coin. This is the index of all the altcoins out there, minus Ethereum and minus Bitcoin. There's a 70% move just to get to the previous all-time high. And that's when we'll still see, I think, quite a bit of a push beyond this zone. Meaning, anytime that we're in this area here, anywhere in this area, this is a great DCA opportunity. You haven't missed a boat yet. Some people are mad the market didn't just completely run away, but in reality, what this is saying is, hey, we still have a chance here. So you're saying there's a chance. No, but what this is showing that the markets are, you know, they're still providing opportunity, because if we were excited back in February, we should be super excited now when we understand where this market cycle is going. So we can clean this up a little bit. This is from a couple months ago or something, or maybe a month ago. But even getting back to this previous range high, it's a 20% move. Now, a 20% move on the total market cap would represent some major movement for your individual altcoins. Some of them might completely sit still, be a stable coin, not move at all, or fail. This is why I have a broadly exposed portfolio with AI, but also a layer 1, smart contracts, layer 2, very fast, huge numbers, partnerships, Injective, another layer 1 that has, I mean, this is so, I have a lot of, I think this one might be one of the better performers in my portfolio this cycle. We got Avalanche, another layer 1 solution, but also does a little differently with the 3 different chains, right? They got a lot of partnerships. In fact, I think this is going to be, I have a feeling this is going to have a lot of crossover with the RWA narrative, real world asset tokenization, because of the architecture of the way Avalanche is set up. And I've had this feeling, and I don't have inside information. I've had this feeling for about 9 months or more, maybe all the way back to January, but about a year or so, that this next cycle, I think Avalanche, I could be completely wrong, but I think they're going to have some really strong partnerships that are going to absolutely moonshot it. So I stacked into this one. Polkadot interoperability. They have Polkadot 2 that they're building into right now. Polkadot, they have a burn mechanism now also that's tied in with their core time system, their upgraded way that they're allotting, and instead of auctioning off block time, they're actually making it more manageable for developers to build. Which, what does that mean? You have a better ecosystem for developers to build, and it's interoperable. Its whole purpose is to be interoperable with the rest of the crypto ecosystem. Tie this crypto world together so it can actually be useful by so many different types of institutions and different types of services and all these different types of things. And so when you have more developers building on something like this, and you're building a better ecosystem to support developers, that also means that you're incentivizing growth in that area, in this ecosystem. And if you're incentivizing growth in that ecosystem and things are just getting built, then that's a positive thing. That's a positive fundamental shift that you want to look for when you're looking to a project. That's why I moved my Cardano position entirely into Polkadot for this portfolio. Remember, I have other portfolios as well. Chainlink, interoperability, real world Web 2 to Web 3, as well as some interoperability with projects as well. Some people think these two compete. They don't. They're different agendas, different sort of missions that they're going after. Render, I think Render is absolutely going to absolutely explode in this market because of their integrations with NVIDIA. And also now we're seeing they also are getting included in some of the things that Apple is putting out. Ondo, real world asset tokenization, also has some ties, or whether it's a handshake, whether it's just they're adjacent to each other, they're tied in some ways, whether it's fully legitimate or the speculative nature of the market thinks about it. Ondo's tied in somewhat to the narrative with BlackRock and a real world asset tokenization, treasuries. Huge portion of that capital that's in that BITL TVL is Ondo itself. So OUSG, I think it is. Who we got in here? A name says AVAX. Nice. That's right. And then we can go on and on. I've gone over this before. This is why I have a broader market, because some of these, something could happen. There could be a failure. There could be some case by the SEC. I might really like Injective, it might get squashed. I might really like AVAX, it might get squashed. But I have a broad portfolio, so regardless of one or two failing, the majority I think are going to do quite well. So when I look at this on the macro scale, and we basically total 3, and we let's just go ahead and do from the top here to the bottom. We can see this went up to the 3.618. So let's be conservative. Let's say on this next one, let's say we only go up to the 2.618. I don't think that. I think we'll actually probably go to 3.618. I think we're going to have a disorientingly explosive rally this cycle. So, but let's look. 2.618 is 2.47 trillion. So, I mean, 2.47 trillion. That's a 300% move for the total market, remember. So some of those projects that you have that do, 1,200%, et cetera, and other projects may only do 8 or 9%. This is why you have that broad portfolio. If we were to go all the way up to that 3.618, that's a 460% move. Let's be patient right now. And in that interview that I did with Credible Crypto, he broke down one of the things he's looking for that's going to signal that that alt season coming in. And he also believes that we're going to have a massive alt season, similar kind of like to what we saw in 2017. So that is super exciting. But let's get back into these charts. We got to look at some stuff. We're going to be looking at XLM. I'm doing the coins that you all said here in the BitLab Academy Discord here. We got XLM, Arweave, Tectum. I don't know if I even heard of Tectum. Star L, Hunabku. If you're in the room, let me know what Star L is. I'll look at that as well. ORDS.XSwap. Yeah, definitely look at that. My boy John Dalton here. If you guys, by the way, those of you in the BitLab, in the community here in Discord, pay attention to the charts that he shares. You might like some of them, might not like some of them. He's going to share, he shares honest charts, unbiased, with absolutely incredible TA. And he's one of our, he's on our team here at the BitLab Academy, and he's also a professional trader. And he's a little bit of an unsung hero in the BitLab community. Everybody should be paying attention to his posts because he is a core member of the BitLab team, and he's an incredible analyst and trader. So pay attention to what he's doing. So we'll look at FTM and Popcat, Pith, and Stacks. All right. So I think we had Stacks in there twice. But let's start with XLM. We talked about Bitcoin. We'll get back to that before we wrap out the show. Let's go to XLM. How many of you guys hold XLM? Let me see in the chat. Ethan Smith says, John has amazing calls. Yes, he does. How many of you all hold XLM? Because XLM, I used to hold XLM. I have no reason to hold it or not to hold it now. It's just not in a narrative focus that I'm super interested in. So that doesn't mean it's not a good project. You might love it, but it's probably going to do quite well. And look at that beautiful sort of reversal pattern right here. But then here we're looking at the weekly. Let's get down. We don't have time to go through all three, macro, midterm, micro. We're going to get down to the 4 hour, and we can see this is coming into a zone. This is coming into a zone right here. Look at this, option H. See these double bounce here and the rejection here and the trouble right in this zone. Bounce here. So this is a important area that the price action is testing as we speak, and we see that this did bounce. But when we see this bounce, look at all that volume. All that volume on this drop. And then the price action tried to resume back to the upside. Let's go ahead and turn on the BitLab trading stack. Let's see where this weekly VWAP is. This is one of my favorite signals in the charts. I use this on every trade that I make. So we have negative money flow here on the 4 hour. This is this purple wave, this pinkish wave here. This is positive money flow, this blue wave, and it flipped down negative money flow. Can a plant grow without water? Yeah, sometimes cactus, right? But it still needs water at some point. There's still a threshold for which it will die without water. Same thing here with price action. Think of this as plants growing. Think of this as plants dying. And so, for instance, right here is this still positive money flow. People were still putting money in, but the speculation was driving this down until this right here. This flipped. The money flow flipped negative. This went from blue to pink. And then, although we did get a rebound, the fact of the matter is, this is what you need to pay attention to: signals rather than just price. Price action double bottom here, great, and then it pushed up. As it's pushing up, we still see negative money flow. This negative money flow tells me that this is probably looking for a reversal to come back down. So as this is moving up, and although this broke through this weekly VWAP and it found support, we still have negative money flow. So it's kind of like we got a signal, but this thing still doesn't give it, this doesn't confirm it for me, because this looks like a trap as this is moving up. And then we get bearish divergences. See these printing on the chart, and the money flow is still negative. And then it tries to bounce again. And look at this, more bearish divergences, and then tries to bounce again, comes up and finds essentially this trend line that we had in here and rejects, all while this money flow is negative. So we need to pay attention to this. Similarly, right now, as price action here, we got a bit of a reversal sign here with the bullish signal. See, bullish signal here. We had high selling volume into stopping volume. Price action almost, I mean, opened with a gap here, this gap, but we basically went through this weekly VWAP, and we're being held hostage essentially right here at this trend signal line, this red line, and the money flow is still negative. So I'm not convinced of any move to the upside on this until we, not only, I would say we need to clear not only this line, but clear this order block that's printed here on the BitLab trading stack volume. We need to clear this. And what I'd like to see is on any sort of move down, a retest, essentially say we move up, say we drop here, move up and then come up, find support somewhere in this region. I want to see the money flow flip positive before I have confidence on what's happening here. So on XLM, what I'd be looking for right now is if we lose this 10-cent mark, let's get a little broader view so we can see if there's a level below us. Is this, I mean, this goes back to October 2023. I would say option H. I would say here, because we have a little bit of a rejection here. And we have kind of some speculation in this region, but you also see this kind of slows down at this zone. We also see bounces right at the zone. So I would say if we do lose this 10-cent mark, I'd be looking for a little bit further move. Come on, bastard. There we go. I don't know why. I have one mouse. I have 3 mice. I brought the one mouse that for whatever reason, when I stream, the mouse doesn't work. When I do anything else, it works. So I just didn't realize it when I grabbed it because they're all the same color. But that would be another 5 or 6% move to the downside. I do feel like I am leaning more bullish. I'm painting this bearish target. You know, this isn't that bad. It's, 5%. I do feel like, however, as I mentioned before, with this, middle end of the month likely bounce that I've discussed, I do feel like we are in store for more bullishness and bearishness. So I would be scooping things up if this did drop down. Of course, that's not financial advice. This is just strategy advice. But if we do start moving to the upside, this is what we want to pay attention to. Option F, let's take a fib from this level is where I'm measuring it. Down, let's say that's low. Look at this, golden pocket perfectly lines up with where this trend line is. So this is the area that I'd be really watching. If XLM starts moving up, I'll be watching for basically this 1132 sort of zone. And if we can clear that and not get rejected, watch for a retrace, a bounce, and that's where I would buy. If you're trading this sort of breakout. What was the next one we had going on? XLM AR, R-Weave. How many people out there are R-Weave holders? Shout out to the R-Weave holders. What's the use case for XLM? XLM is similar to XRP, different. In fact, I forget the founder's name, used to be part of XRP as well. XLM is it's basically cross-border remittances. Basically, very quickly move money. Like specifically, you could do that with all crypto, sure, but XLM was specifically done to transmit. And it's actually, to be honest, I actually buy XLM when I'm trying to transfer money from one exchange to another, or if I'm trying to send something and I just want to do it quickly with super low fees, I'll convert to XLM, send it, and then convert back to whatever currency I want, because it is quite quick on a very trusted network. So where are we at? R-Weave. R-Weave in the house. R-Weave. Where you at? All right, look at that. Look at this broadening wedge, breaks bullish, and then triple tops here. Top, breaks down. Now this is coming in. You see this impulse to the upside? This has also formed a bit of a bearish pattern because now we have this sort of kind of, I mean, you could call it a rising wedge, but you can also call it a rising channel with a deviation like this. See, there's a deviation here. Either way, these both result typically in a bearish breakdown out of this. However, I'm not holding anything. I'm not going to look at this showing a potential breakdown. And if the tire market rips, I'm not expecting our weave to go down also. What I do see though is that the price action is pushing up. You see this large impulse, smaller impulse, and then what do we see? A lower high followed by a lower low, or just in this smaller, obviously this is not a lower low than this, but on this range, on these small movements, we're getting a little bit of a lower high and a little bit of a lower low. I'd be very wary of a washout either direction on this. What I'd really like to see is our weave get back above 44,780, 44,780 up to $45. Let's just call it $45, because as much as this looks like, if I was just looking at this portion of the chart, like maybe we're going to get a little bit of a breakdown, I can't also ignore that this is coming into this previous range resistance zone. So it makes sense that the price action, people are starting to hedge a little bit here and take a little bit of profits. So we also have negative money flow here, but we see the stochastics rolling. This is on the 8 hour. Let's go to the 4 hour. Ooh, on the 4 hour, we did get positive money flow, but it's neutral. Good. If this were to break down, what I'd really be watching for right here is holding this zone right here. Why this zone? Why did I draw this area? Because we have this rejection, choppiness right around this kind of support and rejection. If we lose this zone, I'd be watching this area. If we lose this, then I expect this will likely be going a bit lower. For instance, if this kind of comes down like this and loses this, rejects 1, 2, 3, you know, something down back into this target zone from what we see over here. Sorry about that. Yeah, but I'm leaning more bullish here. I think this is more of just an arcing here as we're coming into this resistance zone as we see it. I think there's a little bit more cooling off to do, but I'd be watching the break of $45 and catching that move beyond that. But Arweave, great project. Protocol has to do with file storage. It's got a great community as well. Stacks I know is one of them. So let's look at that while I have this right here. Look at that rising channel. We discussed this likely breaking down. What we do, we went right below the weekly VWAP, had this flush out. Look at this wick. This is what wrecks people. Flush out, comes right back down, and then loses also the trend signal line, and then just rejects on all this stuff all the way down to where we are at now. Now, I'm still incredibly bullish on stacks. I think the BRC20 narrative, I think that the ecosystem that's going to be built on and within Bitcoin is going to be incredibly bullish. The thing is about this is you have to be aware that time is, just because we know that there's a high likelihood of this being incredible for the ecosystem over the next, could be 1 year, could be 7 years. I think it's going to be on the quicker side with how fast technology is moving. In fact, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy has become a Bitcoin development company now, building out software and services and tools for Bitcoin. In fact, they had that whole ID protocol that they built that's actually, I think, using ordinals in some capacity, or ordinals coding in some capacity. But so when we're thinking about all this ecosystem within Bitcoin, Stacks is going to be one of those projects that's going to really thrive because of that. So I'm not worried about this. We also see this had like a kind of a head and shoulders there. It didn't break down, but then we have this larger shoulder, larger head, kind of a shoulder there. There is a lot of bearishness looking right here. And this can be somewhat, I don't want to say explained, but understood by the fact that that BRC20 narrative really started pushing hard. The deliverable date that people think was the halving, because the rune's going live on April 20th, April 19th for the halving. And people think it didn't do anything, it's done, it's dead. So there's some negative speculation driving price down. But I see this as opportunity. Price action has been coming down. We do have a trend line. Let's turn off the other lines and stuff. Just look at this just as it is. We can delete this because we don't need that. Don't need that. Okay, so we got a bit of a trend line right in here. I'll do it like that because we have this touch, we have this touch. This was a little bit of a deviation, but then this kind of right in this zone. But this is looking like it's trying to round out. And look at the region that this is in, right at this previous range high. So if we can hold this zone, I'd be watching for a move up into this area, this 217, 214, 217 region here. Likely rejection, and then a move to the upside. But I think a lot of things are going to be hinged, kind of waiting on what's going on with this directionality for Bitcoin. And remember, this M2 money supply is no joke. When we look back over here and we look, and look at this bullish move of this testing this short-term holder cost basis, a little deviation, but test. Things are still incredibly bullish. But what I wanted to show you was, what the hell? Oh, the M2 money supply, global liquidity. Global liquidity here is starting, it's hard to see here, but it's starting to tick up here. And in fact, we're starting to see signs of life. And I shared this last week of that money printer or the systems or the monetary tools that the governments use are starting to kick in gear of actually adding liquidity. So it's why it's so weird in May right now when typically things start to cool off. We're actually setting up, remember, we have November coming up, which is an elections, we're in an election cycle year. So there's a strong possibility that what usually happens in May and what usually happens in June in general markets, not just Bitcoin, I mean, just generally, traditional assets, might be escalated, it might be adjusted quite a bit this cycle of this year because that election cycle is coming up. We also have a president that has his approval ratings in the dumps. And I'm not even saying a political statement, that's just a fact. And so they're going to want to do everything they can that they get this economy in some sort of facade of everything's looking great. Everything's doing great because the economy's good. And the economy is just a farce. The state of what we see with the traditional assets is literally just watching injections of capital come into the ecosystem and people just pumping that into investments over time. It's a complete, it's just so bizarre. But if you want to make it in this world and you want to step out of the life that you have now into something with more access to more time with your family, to more freedom of how you spend your money, to more freedom with what you're doing, your passions, all those things, then you got to figure out a way to what investments you want to make, because that's the only way to do it so you don't get priced out of living by essentially what the U.S. does with their monetary policy. So let's head back. Actually, let me look at capital flow real quick, because I know this dipped down. Look, this came down, reset, and look at these. Look at this, reset, and look at the price action when this reset. This was here, boom, up. We came down. Are we preparing for that next wave of new capital? We also see here, all these resets down. People thought it was over, then up. Reset down, and then up, reset down, and then moonshot. Things are looking good, everybody. These pullbacks are merely a distraction to shake you out of your money if you don't deserve it. Now, if Stacks does continue further down, we do have a bit of a falling wedge here. So as bearish as you want to feel like it is, this is actually a bit of a bullish pattern. If we can hold in this region, maybe even trickle down a little bit, watch for a deviation below, but we are seeing, we had some bullish divergences here. We have, I would say we actually do have a bullish divergence here too, because these are equal. This is a little lower. This low, we have a lower low here, and we see this low. This is a higher low. This is rising. This is rising. Well, this is lower. You see that? That's a bullish divergence, meaning the underlying powers that be are suggesting that, oh, we get a bounce. And what we got a little bit of a bounce, but I'd be watching what happens within this. Watch for a breakout and then a subsequent retest after we clear above this area. We still have this whole region with all this price interactivity right in here. See these lows? Look at this. So we have these lows bouncing. Bouncing on the inside here, rejecting at the top of that, bouncing on the inside here, rejecting here at the bottom and at the top. So once this breaks out, this is the area I'm watching for really kind of a little bit of a gateway. And we're flirting with right now, yes, we're above the weekly VWAP, But this doesn't matter in the grander scheme of things when we're in this pattern trading down. This just says things are getting started, but we still have negative money flow. So that's what we're watching for. Let's look at ORDS. ORDS, and we're going to look at Phantom next. I'm just going over what the people wanted, everybody. All right, let's look at this. Let me look at the chat here. We got 105 people in the room. Every single one of you, I hope you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. I didn't realize my camera wasn't on. My apologies. It's so funny being in an entirely different setup because my buttons and the screen, I don't have a screen that I can look at like under the camera. So that's why I always have to look down over here. But looking at ORDS, swap. So this, I mean, nice pump came back where? Sitting right on the sort of top of this shelf of all these highs. Yeah, we have these wicks up. This is on the 3-day chart, but this is sitting right in the zone. I still think this is going to be, I haven't moved any of my position in ORDS. I've shown that with you all. I've shared it all, by the way, in the BitLab Discord, which every one of you, if you're watching this channel, we have such a great community. Head over to lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. You can join for 15 days for free. This deal is going to be going away soon. 15 days free, and then it's a reduced cost of everything there. Join now. Free. I'm just going to do that. There's a link, lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. Come and join us here. I've been sharing the updates of everything I'm doing in my portfolio, as well as all this other alpha, and I try to keep people as updated as possible. But I made some moves. I moved out of TIA the other day and moved. I switched that, I reallocated it into Injective, Ondo, and Arrow, and that's just because I don't like some of the things that the team at TIA is doing and how they're allowing their locked tokens for early investors and VC to stake their locked tokens, which essentially also somewhat harvests the liquidity it just felt a little shady. So I moved out of TIA. I have enough different coins. I just strengthened these positions, but I'm showing you guys everything that I'm doing here, and I still have ORDS. I haven't moved on that. Where's it at? It's probably down quite a bit right now, which it's all good, man. Patience. Yeah, so I'm down $2,000. I'm down almost as much as I currently have, but yeah, I had about $4,000 in there, and I'm okay with it. I'm letting it ride because I think when this narrative pops, and remember how small the market cap is as well. When this pops, it's going to do very well because remember that ecosystem we were talking about on the BRC20 narrative. That ecosystem is going to need a native DEX also, which is essentially what ORDS swap's going to be. So this is looking. I mean, it's like I said, it came down to this shelf. We got a higher low. Damn it. Got a higher low. We're flirting right now with this weekly VWAP. This feels kind of indeterminable, but this is looking like it's trying to put in a base. That's what it looks like for me. But in terms of trading this, for me, I took a position in this. I'm not necessarily trading. I'm waiting for it to actually have a little bit more maturity and integration, and see that utility really roll out, and transactions and volume and all those sorts of things within their decks. But as it stands right now, I mean, I think this is forming a bit of a base. I'd be watching for this zone right here is kind of a key zone that we need to pay attention to. See these lows? Okay. See these lows right here? We have those highs right there. This sort of zone, when this pushes up, this is what we want to get through. Once we get through this, actually do it right about there. Once we get through this zone, we're going to want to watch for a retest. That would be an excellent spot to buy. Yeah, you'll miss some of these gains, but if you're going to be really worried about volatility and every time it moves anyway, oh my God, it's not working. You got to be a little bit more patient. Let the market do the work, show that it's put in this sort of double bottom here with this W, right? And then break this key zone here. It might get rejected initially. Break this key zone, find some support somewhere. It might be on this zone or something, but on this reversal, when it starts to bounce, that's when you take your shot and you have the confirmed move is, basically the reversal is trying to be in store. But if this were to drop for me, I'm not even going to put a level. I mean, we can do this. 06. Let's move that. That's 0666. That's not the level we want to be at. Let's go right into there. So 068. You know, anywhere in this zone would be, I think, a great opportunity, so long as you're willing if you're taking a position, letting the maturity come into the BRC20 narrative a little bit. It might take 6 months. It might take a month. There's no telling. When this market starts ripping, things, whether or not they're fully integrated or not, start absolutely moonshotting. So you just have to have, it's always better if you're prepared. And in order to be prepared means you're holding something and allowing yourself to be patient as that narrative prepares to take off. Being prepared means sometimes holding for a year and then it finally goes. Being prepared means sometimes you're looking at all the data, you catch it an hour before it happens, but that's less likely. Sometimes patience is your best tool in this market. I have Phantom in here somewhere. I'll just type it, FTM. Just so you guys all know, quick little trick. When you're on these charts, you can't find something or you don't want to come up here and type. All you need to do is click on the chart, just click on it, and then just start typing FTM. It'll pull up the window on its own. All right, FTM, let's go on Friday. Ooh-wee, that's ugly. Came down, this looks like it's forming a base. So we had all this movement up, shake out, a drop, retrace. It's probably about the golden pocket. Look at that. Drop. Where's it going to go to? Oh, golden pocket, rejection. Golden pockets are the jam if you use them correctly. Let's turn off the lines. Just look at the price action. All right, so we got a little bit on Phantom. Phantom, I know John Dalton, shout out. I don't know if he's in here or not, but John Dalton, a huge fan of Phantom. I think Phantom is great as well. Very fast protocol, great team. We got a bit of a triangle here. Is it a triangle? Is it a? Sometimes you have to experiment. So we're going to experiment real quick. That's not a good line. Yeah. So we kind of have a channel that is formed because we have the low rejection, bounce, but we also have this sort of intermediary downtrend of resistance coming in here. So this is kind of getting pinched within this. Let me look at this on the little bit broader scale. So negative money flow on the daily. I mean, look at this. I mean, just this is quite bullish that on this daily, this did test all the way down here. It has been sucked all the way back up. This actually bodes more bullish than not. The question though is we still have negative money flow there, but it is on the daily. So let's get down to the 4 hour. Look at those hearts. I see those hearts flying. Shout out to you. Big love to you. We do have some descending volume though. That's a little bit of a problem for me because when we're looking at this, if we're wanting this to be bullish and as this is pushing up, the bulls are weakening in here. High selling volume when we got to this level, but on this bounce, not really a spike in volume. So I would say right now, I would just be watching for a potential break to the upside or downside here. The VWAP is angled up, this yellow line. Yeah, this to me, this looks like it has to do some work within this region. There's not really a clear signal one direction or another. But everybody, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Get in the Discord. I'll be chatting in there today. I have a meeting I have to go to here in a few minutes with Galactix, talking about some of the stuff we're doing, and they got some really cool stuff. Again, make sure you check out, head over there, turn on your VPN, no matter what you're doing online. Make sure you protect yourself, get your VPN on, and make sure you head over to Galactix. Go pre-register. I think you get 10 free Galactix for when they launch, as well as you can participate in that $25,000 program that they got going on, the referral program. The link is right there. I just posted it in the live chat. Click on it, check it out. Make sure your VPN's on. Protect yourself. I love you guys. That's all I got today. I need to eat now. I haven't eaten since that 5 a.m. workout. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for being here. I'm so tired. I want to sleep, take a nap, get back in the charts again. Love you guys. Peace.